And there she is. Welcome everyone to the final tribal council of Travis Survivor New Earth. We're here with Tawny, Gavin, and Kevin, where one of them will win in 24 hours because we're not doing jury voting tonight. But this is where they will plead their case, and hopefully the jury is receptive. The jury has a lot to say. They're very excited to be here. But first, we'll have opening statements. So, Tawny, you will have 5 minutes to plead your case, then Gavin, then Kevin. So Tawny, whenever you're ready to start, I will go off camera.
Okay, just so you know, I'm reading off my phone. So, yeah. Are you ready for me to start?
Yeah.
Okay. As we all know, my pre-merge game was nothing more than bland. I only had to attend one tribal and just had to trust that I was building the bonds with all these people coming in and out of my tribe. The only thing of significance was me winning the reward challenge and grabbing myself a vote steal. At Merge, I was lucky enough to be put into a majority alliance. Sadly, they wanted the people I wanted to keep in out. And for a vote, I let it happen. I believe that everyone here knows I'm an emotional player. I will follow my heart over my brain any day of the week. And so I did. I wasn't going to let another one of my members out by my own hand, so I didn't. I didn't vote out Mac. I didn't vote out Minor. But I didn't save him either. Earlier that day, we purchased the Sands of Time together. I kept it for myself. And as much as it killed me not to let him live for another 24 hours, it saved my life the very next round, when it was me who people voted out. I not only played the Sands of Time correctly, but I used my vote steal and Andrew's extra vote as well. With William self-voting and causing a tie, both my advantages gone, over half the cast wanting me out of this game, I had nothing left to lose. So I went to Rocks. And the best thing that could have happened, happened. With Andrew leaving, it split the majority in half. One half being Kevin, Sam, and Pat, and the other being Michael and Abry. After that, the first half of Kevin, Sam, and Pat came to me to get William out of fear that he was working with Gavin and I. The next round, I worked with the second half, Michael and Abry, that just tried to vote me out the round prior to get someone from the first half out. And finally, I had won my first immunity. After having been targeted round after round, I was safe, but my rocks were not. With me, Gavin, and Stoner still being in minority, we were able to survive taking out Sam after having gained part of Michael's trust back again. Then I won immunity again against Michael, even after he had an advantage played on him. And with that, we took out his number one in Abry, as Kevin was scared to go to Rocks. With the tribe seemingly split up to my advantage at 3-2, it seemed like finally an easy road to the end, until the dark round happened. Having a giant hunch that Michael was going to be winning immunity, it was a matter of if he just transfers it or not. So I spun a wheel. Gavin and I voted out Michael. Michael and Kevin voted Gavin. And thankfully, Stoner self-voted on accident. And for the second time in this game, I went to Rocks. And I beat them. Final four was my lowest of lows. Knowing that Stoner and Kevin had picked challenges that leaned to Michael's favor, it broke me. I didn't see the point in trying. I knew it would go to fire making, and I knew it would be me. I didn't want the embarrassment of losing like that in front of everyone. And after Michael gave away his immunity for the second time to Kevin, which was due to Gavin and I being more threatening and not a testament to his social gameplay, I was completely shattered. But I prevailed. I won against Michael going head-to-head for the second time. I beat the odds. I'm not going to pretend that if it wasn't for Gavin, I wouldn't be here. But he wouldn't be here either. If I didn't go to Rocks for him the first time, I would have been gone next. He was a tool for me in this game as much as I was for him. And as much as our games are similar, we had no choice. After being completely isolated from the rest of the tribe, it was work together or die together. And there's really no one else in this game that I'd rather be sitting next to than him. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tawny. That is your speech. Gavin, whenever you're ready, I will start the 5 minutes.
Okay, first off, that was beautiful, Tawny. Good job. You can start whenever.
Okay.
My road to the final 3 has not been an easy one. I've fought tooth and nail to get to this point. My ability to adapt and change my gameplay when necessary is the reason that I was able to make it to this point. Tonight, I'm going to prove to you all that I did play the best game and I do deserve to be crowned the winner of Traveler's Survivor New Earth. During the pre-merge, I started on the Julia tribe, and I had a fairly easy path as I had only attended one tribal council. I formed a number of strong bonds with people who I have never played with and solidified bonds with those who I'd crossed paths with before. However, I did manage to survive Stoner's deadly idol play that took Ali out with a single vote, which is a testament to my social game early on. During the pre-merge, my game also took a major hit by losing my closest ally Gabby when I was exiled. I quickly learned that Stoner was responsible for her vote off, and I knew that if we had lost, I had a clear target in mind. Little did I know this would all change come merge. Going into the merge, I went on an immunity streak. This allowed me to attempt to take a power position and push names for votes as I could not receive immediate backlash, so I took advantage of that opportunity. However, I will admit that I underestimated certain ties that people had developed and ended up voting incorrectly the first round of the merge. In the second round, I almost managed to pull off a vote against William, but due to an idol play, a tie between William and Mac was just narrowly avoided. It was at this point that I began to severely question where people truly stood, and I quickly realized that I was in the minority. I knew that I needed to pull off a third immunity win, or I would surely be the next to go, or the next target for people like Andrew, whom I had just used information against and attempted to destroy his game the round before. So I went to the only person who I knew could beat me at Winter Bells, Michael. I made him an offer he couldn't refuse, a promise of loyalty, 2 trinkets, and idle information. We talked for a long time and I was able to convince him to throw the challenge so I would be able to avoid being voted out that round. Unfortunately, that meant one of my closest allies, Minor, would be taking the bullet that round. The next round, I had finally lost immunity and I knew I was in danger. I went to Kevin, who I had quickly realized turned against me after voting out Minor, and falsely hinted that I had an idol, just to ensure that the vote would not land on me. However, that led to a tie splitting between that led to the tribe splitting between Tawny and myself. Thankfully, Tawny and Minor had invested their trinkets in the sands of time, and Tawny was able to replay the vote for 24 hours later. This gave us a crucial 24 hours to plan against the group that had essentially begun giving us a silent treatment. I did attempt to speak to many people, and the majority did not reply or saw no point in turning against the people in power. I knew that I was in extreme danger this round, so I had to use the relationships I was able to maintain in Tawny, Stoner, and Michael to survive the round. When I caught wind of William not voting, I immediately told Tawny to play her steal a vote on Andrew and vote for William. I scrambled to Stoner and told him we had to switch the vote off of Kevin and onto William, as it was our best chance at tying the vote. I then went to Michael, where I quickly learned that the vote had begun to flip on me, and I ensured that Michael would keep his vote on Tawny, allowing the vote to go to a tie. This was the most crucial round for my game because it proved that I was a force to be reckoned with, having people willing to go to rocks for me, and it took out my biggest target and threat, Andrew. Andrew's elimination opened an endless amount of opportunities for me as he was the ringleader of the other side. His elimination caused enough cracks that I was able to weasel my way in between the 2 different sides within the majority lines. In my eyes, side 1 was Michael, Abrielle, William. Side 2 consisted of Kevin, Sam, and Patrick. At this point, my main goal was survival, but I also knew that I would be able to pin the sides against each other, and using the fact that I knew Michael and Patrick were not close and they would absolutely target one another before they would target me, I wanted to be able to milk that for a few rounds. So we ended up voting off William, and I kind of wanted the eliminations to go back and forth between the 2 sides because the chances of them not working together were more likely that way. It ended up going back and forth until the final 6, and I knew that my alliance in Stoner and Tawny would be able to force a tie at 6. My intention with this vote was to tie it between myself and Abrielle because I knew Abrielle staying in the game would be better for me. However, Stoner did not want to go to rocks with 3 people remaining, and Kevin ended up flipping his vote onto Abrielle. Going into the final 5 with knowing it was a dark round and immunity would be kept anonymous, I knew that Michael would be most likely to win the challenge. However, I also know how Michael plays, and him giving immunity to Kevin was a very likely possibility. So Tawny and myself kind of took a 50-50 chance and ended up voting for Michael. Thankfully, Stoner did not vote in the tie or in time, and it tied 2-1. Once again, I had people willing to go to rocks for me, which is another huge testament to my game. I was able to make it to this point in the game because of my ability to adapt each and every round and completely change my position in this game from the bottom to the top. I hope that you're all willing to give me an equal consideration when asking questions and casting your vote for the winner of Traveler Survivor New Earth. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gavin. Kevin, whenever you are ready, I will begin the timer.
I'm ready.
Okay, start.
You're good to go whenever.
Okay. When I entered this game, I walked in a newbie. I had only played one game of online orgs before. So when I walked in, I immediately wanted to make as many connections as humanly possible with everybody on the tribe. And I did that. It was fun. Julia tribe was chill. Not much happened. It was pretty boring, to be perfectly honest with you. That wasn't until we swapped and 3 of us stayed together. Me, Gavin, and Gabby. However, when Chris played as idol, I thought, oh, we actually have to start paying attention. Chris played as idol and got up Ali, and it was tragic and sad, but it was also an eye-opener for me. I realized that I couldn't just play this game trying to be nice to people and talking to people. I actually had to think strategically. After that, we swapped again into 2 tribes, and I didn't feel comfortable on my tribe. I felt out of the loop. I started to get the sense that people had previous connections with each other. Maybe they had played games together. Maybe they knew each other from different communities. I didn't have any of that. The only thing I had was my ability to talk to people and connect with them. So I used that. I started talking to Sam. I reconnected with Nick, and I had enough people on my side so that way when TJ decided to flip and go against me, 4 people decided to message me and say, hey, we're not going to vote you out. Instead, we're going to vote out TJ. It was an easy choice for me. I pushed for TJ's name and they all agreed. However, after that, merge happened. And I thought I was clearly good. I knew enough people from previous rounds, and I knew that the people that I was with in that previous tribe were good enough to set me up for merge. I thought I was in a majority alliance for this first vote. I wasn't. As much as I love Andrew, I wanted him out of this game before Tawny and Gavin did. Andrew was a bigger threat to my game than anybody else, and I recognized that. So when I tried to vote him out, I could have gotten it done, but it didn't work out. What ended up happening is Nick went home, who I loved and promised that I would not vote for, and I didn't. However, I realized that I was now in the minority. Instead of whining and crying about it, instead of posting in the tribe chat, I decided to go to Andrew himself. I called him that night and we had a great talk. I said, listen, Andrew, clearly you and I are not going to be on the right side of the votes anymore. So I'm done voting for you at Tribal Council. There came an alliance. Mac will refer to it as his Final 5 alliance, where he conveniently left me out. However, I was the cornerstone of that alliance. The only person who was able to think critically while also playing on people's emotions was me. Pat was absent. I love him, but he wasn't always there. Sam was too paranoid for his own good. Andrew was sporadic. His thoughts were all over the place all the time. And Michael was good to bounce ideas off of, but he was too logical. He didn't think enough about people's social game to actually make smart moves. He only thought about alliances and numbers. After flipping on Gavin for the minor vote, I decided that I was in a good position. But I was worried that William would end up being more close to Gavin and Tawny than I was. He had to go. It was my idea to flip on William. It was my idea to vote him out. That was entirely me. Gavin and Tawny can talk about their social game or wanting to be in the middle of 2 alliances, but at the end of the day, I was the one that pushed for the William vote. They didn't. After that, it became clear that the people that I was close with, Pat and Sam, were targets. Tawny and Gavin felt threatened and, of course, went after people that Michael also could agree with to get out. When I decided to not go to Rocks, it was not because I didn't want to go to Rocks or I was scared to go to Rocks. It was because Abrielle was closer to Michael than I was. And if I wanted Michael on my side, I needed to get Abrielle out. You all thought it was because I was so petrified to go to Rocks, when really without Abrielle, I became Michael's number one. He had no one left in this game that he trusted or liked, and I was the only one there. After that, I decided to play the Dark Tribal because why the hell not? It was fun, and being close with Michael was an advantage for me. He gave me his immunity twice. But it wasn't just because I was social with him. It was because I decided that it was more strategic for him to give up his immunity and go to fire with somebody else. I fully knew well that I am not a challenge beast like Gavin or Tawny. So I decided that it was best if Michael went to fire to ensure both of our spots in the final. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But to be honest with you, Michael not being in an FTC doesn't hurt my game. If anything, it helps. Michael was the biggest threat besides me. And now that he's gone, I wasn't too heartbroken. I called him and said that I was sorry and that I loved him and I hope he did well. But at the end of the day, I was in it for myself. So if I was happy that he was gone, it was only because I had a better shot at winning this game. I sit at this FTC being the most social person in the game and playing a social game that was true to who I am. I never attacked a person, insulted them, caused drama for no reason. I kept decorum, even when told to my face, stupidly, I might add, that I was a go. I wasn't, and I'm not. Tawny, you just never saw my game because I didn't want you a part of it. And those of you who on the jury who know me got to know me as a person, who talked to me about real life and personal moments. I want you to know that those moments are real. They're not just a part of this game. They're not just for show. I have every single memory because of this game attached to people and what they've said to me. You are the reason I'm sitting here. And that was not fake. Although it was social and strategic to me, it was real. I played 100% of who I was, no questions asked. I stand by every decision I made, every vote, every move, every behind the scenes puppet pulling strings. If I don't win, that's okay, because I've made myself pretty damn proud, and I feel like a winner. At the end of the day, I came into this game without a single connection to anybody. Tawny and Gavin knew people from different realms or different games or whatever the case was. I had no one, and I worked my ass off to get here. And I'm the last person remaining out of a huge alliance, out of my original tribe, except for Gavin, and out of any of the people that I made friendships with. I sincerely thank you for your time. I love you all. I got to know all of you individually, and I can't thank you enough for that.
Okay, thank you. The first jury will be here soon, so just stay tuned. Jess is sending the link.
Oh, I have to send it. Cool. I love that. I don't know if you guys all want to turn on your camera now or not. It's up to you. I just sent the link to our first juror. Ooh. Is Tawny like disconnected though?
No.
Okay. No, you're good. I was just making sure. Because your camera's off. I don't know if that's on purpose or not. And now you're muted.
Is it on now?
Yeah.
I don't see. Oh, maybe it's just me then.
Okay, so it's just you. It's a Jess problem.
Iconic.
Wait, who's here? Sam.
Hi guys.
Okay, Sam. Oh, this one. Jess just left. That's fine. She'll be back soon. Sam, your speech. Whenever you're ready.
I just say, Kevin, you look fabulous. You look wonderful. Congratulations, all three of you, for getting to the final three. That's an amazing feat, something that I couldn't do. So, really, really well done. A couple of questions. First goes to Tawny. If it wasn't for William forgetting to self-vote, you would have been eliminated that round. Would you say that's correct?
Well, the round prior, that was whenever the Sands of Time was used, is whenever he forgot to self-vote, so it would have been Gavin going that round.
Okay.
The vote switched to Gavin during that 24 hours.
Okay. Okay. And same with Gavin, when Stoner self-voted, you would have gone that round if Stoner had voted. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to get those facts clear. I'm really impressed with all three of the games, and my vote isn't by no way decided. I don't vote on who my closest ally is. I vote on the person who's played the best game because I respect the game and I want the person who's played the best game to represent the season. So, Kevin, one thing, I've just listened to your statement. I was a little bit confused, and I just want you to clear up for me so I'm not so confused. You mentioned that you started talking to me when we were in the tribe before merge, and that you were the one pushing for TJ's name to go, or TJ to go. Well, I was fairly sure I was the one who came to you and said, we need to get TJ out. And I also went to the others and said the same thing. I was a bit confused by you claiming that move was yours. Can you elaborate a little bit more, please?
You came to me and said, at least this is how I remember it, you came to me and said that TJ was throwing my name around, that he had started a whole group chat with everybody but me and Maynard. And I had said, well, then are we going to get TJ out? And you said, I think that's best. And so while it was partially you who came to me and told me about TJ, I was the one that threw TJ's name out there first.
Okay.
It might have been something that you were thinking about, and we might have been on the same wavelength, but I knew the second that he threw my name out there that he had to go.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I was trying to think back, and that just made me think, was that correct? But no, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. I think all three of you have got completely different strengths in this game. I think, Kevin, you played, in my opinion, by far the best social game of the whole season. You had the most amazing relationships. I know we bonded and we made a really, really close friendship that we'll take outside. I think, Gavin, you played a more physical game, and I think, Tawny, you played the more strategic game. Can each of you tell me what your best move this game has been? I'm starting with Tawny.
The best move that I think that I made was kind of just like in the long run of not saving Minor with the advantage that we purchased together, because that is what saves me the next round. And had it not been for, like, I can't say like how much I was heartbroken not being able to save Minor. I think most people know how close I was to him in this game. But in the long run, it did save me. It got us to the rocks, and doing that, I would literally not be here if it wasn't for that.
Fabulous. Thank you. No, I remember how upset you were because we spoke briefly about it. Gavin.
Okay, can I also comment on me being the most physical player?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, because yes, I did win challenges early on in the merge, but I made it the entire end game without having to win a single challenge. I would like to point that out, just because I feel like that is an important point to make, because I did win 3 in the beginning, but I was able to survive without it as well. And I think the biggest move I made was at the final 10 vote. Yes, I did rely on William not voting, and I use that to my advantage because that's what you do in this game. When you're presented with an opportunity, you take that opportunity, and I did exactly that. I told Tawny and Stoner, I told them we need to vote. We need to vote for William because if there's a chance he hasn't voted, we need to take the shot now. And I used my social connections to Michael to keep his vote on Tawny and allow the vote to tie, because it was not beneficial for me to leave for his game, and I had to be able to convey that to him. So I think that is also a credit to my social and strategic game. I had people that were willing to back me in this game, and despite the chance of them going home on rocks, they were willing to take that risk for me because of the connection I made with them.
Okay, that's fair. Kev?
I think the strongest move I made was after the Nick vote. I knew that I was kind of screwed in a minority alliance at that point, and I said it in my speech, but I do think that it was the turning point for me. And the reason why I'm at the final tribal council right now is because I decided to call Andrew directly and have a conversation with him and put aside our differences and see why we were voting for opposite ends, or why I was voting for him, and why he and I did not mesh well. And that conversation was incredible. It was really eye-opening to realize that we had very similar goals. And in order to accomplish those goals and get as far as we could, we needed to work together. And so instead of being down in the dust and just letting it happen, of being in the minority or being isolated, I decided to go directly to the other side, speak to them. And I had enough social capital in this game to be able to do that. And so I thought that was the strongest move that I made.
Fabulous. Thank you. Give me 1 second. I've got a few things written down. Yeah. Aside from yourself, what do you think is the most strategic move made by someone else in the game that's not already been mentioned? Tawny? It can be someone here, it can be someone who's not here.
I think that honestly, the most strategic move made was probably made by Michael. I think the two things of him giving Kevin immunity both times, once was during the Dark Tribal, so it was a toss-up of what did we have to do, and the second one being at Final Four, considering he knew he had the best chance to win against either Gavin or I in a fire-making competition. And it was just a risk he had to take, and he came close to winning.
Fab. Gav?
I'm actually going to say Stoner. I think had Stoner set himself up very well for the final 5 to be taken to the end, and I think the way he did that was very strategic. I do, obviously him not voting kind of ruined that, but had he voted, I think he would have been the best set up and best prepared to make it to the end of the game.
Thank you. I think I agree there. Kevin?
I think Stoner playing his first idol. He played it for the first time at that tribe, and I don't think actually any strategic moves that I wasn't a part of weren't played at Merge. So I think for person not me, then it would have to be Stoner when he played the idol and completely blindsided all of us. It was a gag, and we all were so shocked. And I remember calling him afterwards and being like, God, that was a great move. So I think that was probably the most strategic thing that I saw, at least in this game.
Well, thank you, guys. One last quick question. If you could compare your game to a Survivor or Big Brother player, who would it be and why? I'll start with Gavin.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow, that's hard. I want to say Brenda Lowe, because she is a very loyal player. I feel I played a very loyal game. I was loyal to the people I was with. I stuck with them throughout the entire game, because my word is my bond in this game. And so I wanted to prove that I'm a loyal player, but she's also very strategic, very social. She makes moves, and especially in our first season, she was kind of vilified, and I guess I was kind of vilified a little bit too. So
Excellent. Kevin?
As much as I hate to say it, I think that the person that I've always respected as a gameplay is Sarah Lucina. She might be a cop. I have an issue with that, trust me. But I do think that her gameplay of being the most social, I mean, I think her social gameplay is unparalleled. I think it was absolutely incredible. And she navigated through alliances and flip-flopped when she needed to, and played advantages when she needed to, and trusted people when she needed to. But the most important thing was that she got to know people for people, and never used that in a destructive or demeaning way, but used it in a way that only further advanced her game.
Fabulous. And Tawny?
This is going to be for lack of I can't remember any fucking Survivor player names, but we're just gonna go with Gabby. I don't know what the fuck her last name is. I believe from like David versus Goliath, because she sat there and had an actual fucking anxiety attack during a competition she wasn't a part in. Like, considering that was me during bits and pieces of this game, I haven't seen that happen from anyone else at least from my memory of any Survivor game. So we'll just go with that because I can't think of anyone else.
That's everything I've got to say. Again, really amazing game. I've loved getting to know all of you. And my vote currently is torn down the middle between two of you, and I'm going to watch the rest of these speeches and questions and see who I'm going to base my vote on. But honestly, well done, all three of you done amazing to get here. And I miss you guys. I will see you guys soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Sam.
Bye.
Your next juror is coming up.
How's everybody feeling? Cool. Your next juror is here, I think. Bye.
Oh, there you go. Hello. I guess you could hear me. Okay. Well, congrats on making final 3. Yeah, I'm not really prepared. I just woke up from a nap. I guess I'll start with Gavin. So I want to know, so earlier on, you did win immunity. From my perspective, you kind of went MIA. So I kind of want to know, except for during my vote when you tried to make the plan for Sam. I just want to know your strategic thought process, or what you did during, I guess, the first votes before I went home.
Before you went home?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I felt like you disappeared a bit after winning immunity.
Oh, really? With the Nick vote, I didn't want to seem too pushy because yes, I was immune. Or do you mean from the beginning of the pre-merge?
No, merge.
Okay, merge. Okay. With the Nick vote, I didn't want to seem too pushy, so I made it pretty clear to people that I was voting Nick or I was voting for Andrew to go, and I listed specific reasons why, but I didn't want to seem too pushy and put a target on myself for that round. So I didn't want to, I guess, become a huge target for going against what the majority wanted to do, especially because I did catch word that Andrew had an idol. So I didn't want to put myself in a position where I'd be in danger going forward. But for the Mac vote, I was probably the biggest role in pushing that vote against William versus Mac. I was the one, I went to Tawny, I went to everyone, I said, because I was on call with Andrew, and Andrew told me he had an idol, but he'd given it to his closest ally. And while I didn't know who his closest ally was, I knew what group of people was with him. And so after doing some talking around, I figured it would probably be between William and Sam, who had his idol if they did have it. So I decided to push for William because if I wanted to make a move where I could get someone out while they're holding someone else's idol, because that would have been fucking iconic, right? So I don't think I was MIA. I was one of the biggest proponents in pushing that vote onto William instead of Mac, because a lot of people wanted to vote Mac, and I didn't talk to Mac as much that round. I made the alliance chat that had everyone who was supposed to be voting for William. I kind of orchestrated that, I feel. So.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Kevin. I should have prepared. So when did you decide to flip?
I'm assuming you mean on you?
You not just like specifically me, but like groups, yeah.
Well, it was actually that exact same vote that Gavin was talking about between William and Mac. And the reason why Mac went home was because I told Andrew about what Gavin had been saying about getting the vote on William. And I knew that Andrew had purchased his idol with Sam, and I knew that they were going to keep it between the two of them. So I told Andrew that he needed to play his idol, even though Sam had it technically. He needed to play his idol for William, because then it would ensure that we were in a majority and Mac would go home. And then thus famously coined the Mac 5 Alliance that Mac left me out of. But like I said before, I was the only reason why that alliance existed.
Okay. Trying to think of another question. I'm so bad. What? Well, I guess it would be the same one. But which move do you think your social game helped out the most?
Tawny or me?
For you.
For Kevin? Okay.
Yeah.
I think my social game, the one that helped me out the most was everybody is going to say, and I want to clarify this right now. So I'm thankful that you asked this, but the most important strategic social move was getting Michael enough to trust me enough to give me his immunity. And that was not just because Michael wanted to make plays by himself. It was because Michael and I wanted to go to the end together. And I was hoping at some point he would be able to go home and get him out, but I just couldn't work with Tawny and Gavin to save my life in this game, so it was just never going to happen. And it was just better to have Michael give up his immunity to me because he trusts me enough. And so I think that the strongest social move was being able to be trustworthy enough for somebody to give up their immunity while also playing it to our advantage, both in the dark tribal and for fire making, because that wasn't just Michael who came up with that. Like, the reason we chose Tawny to go to fire making was actually because there was a better chance that Michael could get her to crack at fire making than there was Gavin. It didn't happen because she's a queen and she fucking beasted that thing. But that was the thought process behind it. We had considered doing Gavin there, but I mean, it was a 50-50 shot and we wanted to be more sure, which is why we chose Tawny. So it was a competitive, like, strategic and collaborative choice that we both made and decided to do.
Okay, thank you. Tony, I have more of a statement. I might have a question afterwards. So officially, like, playing a game with you, this was fun. I wanted to say thank you for making this game fun and exciting, and one that I really enjoyed. Not like my last couple, but thank you. Yeah. I just want to tell you to stand by your game, and just speak about how you were strategic and in every single move you made, and just stay firm. Yeah, thank you. Well, I think that's all the questions I have, but I just want to let you guys know I've been making cat pictures for the jury. So I'm gonna make cat pictures for you guys. So that's it. Congrats on final 3. You guys did amazing, and kick ass for the rest of the jurors and their questions. Okay, bye.
Bye, Miner.
Thank you, Milo.
We're gonna try to contact the next juror, but this might take like a hot second. So if you guys want to go grab a drink, pee break, be back in like a minute. His cat pictures are amazing, by the way.
I'm excited.
Not me crying already. Honestly, the worst thing right now is my stepdad's making pancakes and bacon and I can smell it. And I can't eat it yet.
You're what?
My stepdad's making pancakes and bacon and I can smell it, but I can't eat it yet.
I love that. We stand breakfast for dinner in this house.
Mm-hmm.
Truly, we do.
I'm gonna give them like a couple minutes. Because we did tell them to be here 5 minutes ahead. And if this individual isn't here in 2 minutes, I'm gonna delete the link from their host chat so they can't join midway. Because that's their thing. And I'll send it to the next person who I don't know isn't here. Let me just see. As you can tell, our jury is very engaging. And they are really. Who's after that? Cool.
Tawny, a member of the VL says just get the bacon and pancakes and eat it off mute.
No. I will wait.
This will live on the internet forever. Tawny doesn't want people watching her eat.
Oh no, I don't care about that.
Oh.
I just know that if I bring it inside this room, it's not going to leave this room. As you can tell by all my coffee cups behind me. It's like a fortress for like, it just, like a black hole. It just sucks in everything and it just stays here. So if you ever need a coffee cup, I got plenty.
Let me just. Okay. Yeah, so we're looking for the next juror after this person, but they're also not around. I don't know. They haven't responded. Let me look. Cool. Fun fact, we let the jurors pick what time they went at. And yeah. Let me see. Let me contact this person.
And they're not here?
What were you? Oh, you scared me. I thought maybe somebody showed up. Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry. So yeah, how's everyone's FTC so far? How are the vibes? Like Chloe would say.
Oh my god.
Can we get Chloe here?
I don't think Chloe will be attending this. I will say though, one of our jurors has strep throat. So that's fun. They will have somebody speaking for them. Because that's what we do here. God, where the fuck are these people? I'm impatient.
Do you know what? I'm not even gonna.
Should I just contact alt number 3?
Yeah, and then.
Okay, cool. And then I'm gonna delete.
I thought I had a smoke break, but I didn't.
We'll just move them to the back of the line.
Yeah, you'll get. I'm just gonna delete Mr. Stoner's link. Your next juror.
Oh yeah, I haven't heard from him like all day.
Your next juror's here. Woo, cool.
Oh, is Kevin even back?
Oh, Kevin's not
Kevin's not back. Kevin took a little pee break, I think. But yeah.
Kevin, that's fine.
Thank you for being here at our disposal, Michael.
Oh yeah, no problem. I have no life, so
early.
like it's fine. Who cares about doing other stuff, you know?
Yeah, it's not midterms or anything, is it?
No. Psh, crazy.
Of course not midterms. Is it midterms in America for you guys, Gavin?
Yeah.
Same. Okay, cool.
Tawny doesn't know. Tawny doesn't care.
I haven't been in school since like 2014.
I'm jealous.
I just
I want-
pay attention to school zones, so that's about how I know what time of year it is.
Kevin.
Maybe he saw me join and he's nervous. Doesn't want to come back. I'm a very scary person to talk to.
That's me always.
Toddy, come on, I'm not that bad.
I mean, there should be a special friend of ours watching right now.
Is it TJ?
No, not that special
Darn
friend.
it. Is it Richie? Yes, so I can insult him, just like throw in
Please
stuff.
do.
Because if he's not
Okay.
watching it, he's going to watch it later.
Yes.
So go for it. I sent him the link because he wanted the live link, so he should be watching it.
I'm gonna
So,
enjoy this even
If you
more
just
now.
want to read him for filth, I will just sit back and relax.
Love it.
Kevin is Kevin's here, so you may go whenever you'd like.
Okay, so I did ask the host. Okay, you guys all have your calculators ready somewhere. Okay, I'll wait until you guys are all ready. Just give me a thumbs up. Gavin's good. Tawny's good. Kevin's good. Okay, I did that just to make you guys nervous. I have no math-related questions, really. I just wanted to freak you out. That's what I do. Yeah, of course. Should have been expecting it, really. Come on, you know me. I'm not that mean. Okay, so I do have a couple of things. I don't have so much statements, more of just questions that I want to know about. I'm going to start with one to Gavin first, because this is probably my biggest issue out of anyone in the game. You know, I'm a very strategic person. I like the strategic game. Final 5, and Sam touched on this. Had Stoner voted, you go home, because Stoner was voting for you. How do you justify to me that you still deserve to win the game after getting here through what is more or less a completely lucky situation on your part?
I mean, I also don't think I can fully be at fault for somebody else's mistake. And I don't know. I guess it's I don't know. It's hard to argue.
If you want to take the time to like think about it and come back to it at the end, that's totally fine as well.
Okay,
because
yeah.
it's not an easy question to answer.
Mm-hmm.
So take time and think about that, because like that's going to be my biggest obstacle to overcome to vote for you, just because that's how my brain works.
Okay.
Okay, let's go and look at my notes page here. Okay. We'll go to Tawny, because you started with your jury speech first. You mentioned in your speech you took out Abrielle at the final 6, sorry. Could you expand a little more on why it was Abrielle there?
I think at that point, because it would have been me, you, Gavin, Kevin, Stoner, Abri, right? At this point, it's like, obviously, me, Gavin, Stoner weren't going to turn on each other yet. That wasn't going to happen when it was 3-3. We figured, at least from my memory, that it's like, Abri is the main goat of this game. 1,000%. I think everyone wanted to sit next to her in Final 3. So let's take her out. She was 1,000% a number for you. She would vote however you would vote. So it's pretty much like taking away one of your extra votes that you had every week.
Okay, then follow up here. You mentioned a number of times that you would have been willing to vote out Gavin if it ensured your own safety. You had your vote on Gavin before things flipped to William. You mentioned it, I think, at the Dark Tribal or afterwards. So the question there is, why do you risk going to Rocks? You said that you'd be willing to vote out Gavin if it ensured your own safety. You have the opportunity to do that at Final 5. Why then do you not? Why do you risk Rocks and give yourself a 50% chance of going home?
At that point, like I had said, I was like just shattered. I was done. Had I known that the vote was 1,000% going to be Gavin, I would have voted him. But it's like at that point, we have the option to go 50-50 here. And if I'm going to go out, I wanted to go out on my own terms. I wanted to go out making sure I had nothing in my pocket with no regrets. And that was a position in the game where I actually felt comfortable with my game. that if I left there, I know I did the best I could possibly done. I did the best I have done in a game before. And it's a risk I took, and it's a risk that worked out.
Okay. Let's see. We'll move on to Kevin then. And I'm going to be bouncing around a lot here because these aren't in any sort of order. They've just been the questions that I've thought of as I've been like listening to you guys and answer other things. Also, quick note to the host, I'm not really paying attention on time. There's a high likelihood I'm going to go over. Just like shout at me or something. Because I'm just going to keep talking until you do. Good.
You're good.
Okay. Kevin, you mentioned that you wanted me to go home. You didn't necessarily want me to vote me out because I was a better number in, like, you weren't going to be able to work with Gavin and Tawny. Final four. Do you consider voting me out there? And should you have voted me out there? What do you think?
I did consider voting you out 1,000%. I don't think I should have voted you out there. I think if I had flipped on you, while you would have respected it, it put you as a jury member in a tougher position for me to vote for me at an FTC. So I didn't want to vote you. I was taking a gamble and took a rule book out of Gavin and Tawny, which was throw caution to the wind and see if it sticks. And I got lucky. And you did end up going home. Because as much as I loved you and as much as we were so good together and worked so well together, I knew that it was going to be a tough road if you got into an FTC. And Gavin and Tawny were right about that. When we talked about that at Final Four and Gavin and Tawny, you guys were talking about that, you were 1,000% correct. But I just couldn't vote for you. I didn't want to. I didn't want to write your name down, and I didn't want to be responsible for the reason you went home.
Okay. Let's see. I have another question for you. I don't think I actually have it written down. Okay. And then I guess, of course, the other question I have to ask you, Kevin, is me giving immunities to you at 5 and 4. What do you believe? Like, can you give me some specific ways that you sort of influenced my decision there? Because you did mention, like, yeah, this made sense. Like, I think one of the things you pointed to was I trusted you enough to do that. Are there any other sort of like small things? Because it's decisions like that. It's not you telling me and then I do it. It has to be a lot more subtle. So, like, what sort of subtleties were there?
The subtleties were trying to play off of your distrust and distaste for Tawny and Gavin as much as possible there, and also throwing Stoner under the bus as much as possible too. You and I had talked extensively about how Stoner threatened to go to Rocks whenever he needed to. I mean, we talk about Tawny threatening to go to Rocks. I don't really think that's fair. I'm not gonna try to defend Tawny here, but like Stoner made actual moves to like force Rocks. Tawny did it to survive, and it's actually commendable for Tawny. Stoner just did it to have fun. I genuinely don't think there was a strategy involved there. I think he just wanted to do it. And so I tried to subtly play off of those two aspects for you when we were talking and communicating with each other. Also reinforcing the idea that I don't beat you at a challenge. And when it comes to that, you can't go to Tawny and Gavin and give them your immunity at that point. I'm the only person left. And so getting Abrielle out at Final 6 was my way of finally being able to work with you one-on-one. And although it was a collaborative choice at Final 5 and Final 4, and it was strategic in nature from both of us, it was a large portion because I was enough of a trustworthy player for you, somebody you thought you could beat, and didn't see too much of as an underdog threat like Tawny and Gavin were. And so I was the only logical choice left over to hand that immunity to, which nobody really saw except for you and I. And that was the thing. So I would say that I tried to, as much as subtly as possible, give you other reasons to not give your immunity to somebody else.
Okay. I have questions. I'll have another question for you if I still have time, but I want to make sure I'm giving Gavin a fair shot at questions because I've only asked him the one so far and gave him the time to think about that. Okay, Gavin. Okay. First off, I'm gonna sort of focus in on some of the initial immunities. was your what was your initial immunity streak good for your game? Do you think?
I mean, it prevented me getting voted out and ensured my place on the jury, which I think is beneficial. The first two were just kind of luck. I did need the third one. I truly believe that I would have been voted out because I went against Andrew so hard that round or the round before, and he knew it. So I knew I needed to win. So I did whatever it took to win that Winter Bells challenge.
Okay.
And then, do you want me to go back to your other question now?
If you think you have an answer for it, whenever you feel like you can answer it.
Okay, sorry, I almost just fell off my chair. So I don't necessarily think I can be blamed for Stoner not voting. I saw an opportunity and I took advantage of that opportunity, and I guess you could call me like a go-getter or something. So I don't think I can necessarily be at fault for that. But if you want to talk about the strategy behind it, I guess.
Sure.
Tawny said she was willing to vote me out, but she also went to rocks when she didn't have to. She could have voted me out and I could have still left, but she kept her vote on you, which caused it to go to rocks, and she put herself at risk for me.
Okay, I'll take that. Let's see. Okay, these two are sort of in the same theme. You mentioned a couple of reasons that I threw the challenge to you. You said trinkets, idle information. What do you think was my primary reason for doing that?
I mean, I think it benefited you to have me as a bigger target ahead of you entirely, because if I continue to win immunities, I'm a bigger target ahead of you, and I think I was a target for a lot of people at that point, so it benefited you to keep me around, and I emphasized that to you too, I think, when we were talking. I had to shorten my speech because I had way too much. I literally had like 4 pages. I said, this is not going to get read in 5 minutes, so I shortened it back, and I also mentioned that you would have my loyalty and trust going forward, which I stayed true to. I didn't throw you under the bus for a while there.
Yeah.
And so I think
until
there are
it
a
was
lot
clear
of
that
benefits.
we were not going to work together very well.
Well, I mean, it's not. I don't even think it's necessarily that. I just saw you as the biggest threat to win for my game, which is why I was pushing for you to go for rounds before. And I think you're the biggest threat to win overall. But yeah.
Okay. And then similar to a question I asked Kevin, you're saying that, it was because of you that I didn't switch. What sort of things did you do to ensure that? Because during the actual vote, I think we exchanged like 2 or 3 messages.
Well, I was messaging you. You told me that the vote was flipping onto me, and I said, I kind of just like went for it. I was like, please don't vote me out. You have my full loyalty in this game. I was giving you promises that I could fulfill because I had nothing to lose, and I think that was beneficial for you and me to do so. And what was the question?
Just sort of like what sort of things did you do to convince me not to flip and vote you, because we didn't talk tons during that vote, so you had to sort of make the messages count.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people didn't talk to me that vote, and I do think it did put you in a better position to keep me around, and I tried to like make that clear, I guess, that you would have my loyalty going forward, because loyalty is everything in this game. If you don't have people that trust you, you're not going to make it very far. And even though I didn't have people that were loyal to me, I was able to convince people to keep me, and I made it to this point despite being a target the entire game.
Okay. Let's go to Tawny. Let's see. Just want to check. Okay, no message from the host telling me to shut up. Okay, so go back to Tawny. Tawny, you mentioned a couple of times throughout the game that you were telling people, like, this guy is good, like, Michael's good at these things. Why do you think I still made it as far as I did? Because there was one moment at Final 7 where you and Gavin and Stoner, I guess, had the choice between Sam and myself. Why did you choose to take me out there? Or take Sam out there instead of myself, if you're going around saying that I'm such a big threat?
Because, like I said in my opening speech, we all know I'm an emotional player. I don't always make the smartest decisions, and at that point, like I said, I wasn't lying to you when I said I did want you and me, Gavin, final 3, just because I feel like you do deserve to be here right now, and it's. I mean, it was you or me. I'm glad it's me over you. Let's not get wrong.
Of course.
But, like, it was a completely emotional decision to take out Sam, just based on our past history. Granted, you and I haven't had the best history in games either, but it's like at that point, I was just so much on my, I'm going to be in the jury, telling the jury, I told you so. He's going to make it to the end. He's going to win this game, and I'm going to be right. And as long as I'm right, that's all that matters in my head. So it's like we're gonna play emotionally here. We're gonna take a step back, go back to old Tawny. We're gonna get Sam out, and we'll just see what happens.
Okay. Now I'll switch over to Kevin. Kevin, gonna ask about the final 6 vote again. What do you do if Stoner doesn't tell you, like, so going up to final 6? Let's say you assume that Stoner's 100% on our side.
Standing